And she kept saying she was 11. So she writes to the company, they change the text, they change the commercial. And I go, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Guys, just interrupt you there for 1 minute. I was trying not to be rude, but I wanted to be funny because it was so serious.
1 second, the Austin Convention Center hummed with polite applause. The next, you could almost hear the collective gasp as Brooke Shields leaned toward the microphone and, with effortless calm, asked the question nobody dared. It's a nice story, but how many times are we going to hear it? In that frozen heartbeat, Meghan Markle's practiced smile flickered. The moderator's laugh cracked like thin ice, and the entire South by Southwest panel tilted off its perfectly choreographed axis. The session, billed as breaking barriers, shaping narratives, how women lead on and off the screen, was supposed to be a celebration, a safe zone of empowerment soundbite. Meghan had glided through 30 minutes of familiar beats.
And at a certain point, the only thing I want spread thin is my jam. Okay?
Meghan Markle's podcast is going on hiatus. Amid the Duchess of Sussex's various business endeavors, including the Netflix series With Love Meghan and lifestyle brand As Ever.
The little girl with the pen who toppled a corporate slogan, the teenager who discovered her voice, the Duchess turned advocate who weathered tabloid storms. She reached the crescendo. I was just 11, yet I knew my words could spark change, and waited for the applause she has heard 100 times before. But Brooke's raised eyebrow landed like a record scratch. Years earlier, that dish soap saga felt fresh. In 1993, a Nickelodeon camera crew caught a young Meghan explaining why the phrase, "women all over America," rubbed her the wrong way. Letters went out, Procter & Gamble changed women to people, and a preteen found her legend. The anecdote survived college speeches, United Nations panels, the royal family's website, a Netflix documentary, and an Archetypes podcast intro.
Clearly showing at that young of an age, she had social awareness that many of us obviously don't have. And the overall message was about women being in the kitchen. I believe she watched it with her classmates. Her classmates were like, yeah, women belong in the kitchen. Obviously, Meghan was very upset by that, put pen to paper in her words, and she wrote a letter to the company. She just didn't say which company it was, and they changed it because she's basically the overall message is, your voice can be heard.
By 2025, however, even supporters could recite it by heart. Online forums tallied every retelling like it was a drinking game, and skeptics wondered if the story's neat narrative arc felt a little too Hollywood. That's the backdrop Brooke Shields carried on stage. Long before the Duchess, Shields was navigating fame's furnace, an 11-year-old portrait of precocious glamour in Pretty Baby, talk show fodder, tabloid target, then Ivy League student, Broadway star, mental health advocate, and crucially, a survivor who learned to read a restless crowd. When she sensed the South by Southwest audience glazing over, she deployed humor like a scalpel. When I was 11, I was playing a prostitute. Laughter erupted, tension diffused, and Meghan, for the first time that morning, looked unsteady. What happened next traveled faster than the speed of PR.
Royal bashing is their industry. That's what they've made millions of money. They've made so much money out of attacking their own family, as we know, and as you described then. But I think it's less about them having nothing left to say. I'm sure there's plenty more.
Smartphones captured the clip. TikTok spliced slow-motion eye rolls, and ex-pundits claimed it was either the greatest check of self-importance ever filmed or proof that women can't support women. Hashtags divided the timeline. Say It Brooke hashtag versus Let Meghan Speak hashtag. One viral meme pasted Brooke's face over the distracted boyfriend template. Another showed Meghan framed by looping PowerPoint arrows labeled When I Was 11. Comment sections soon needed moderators more than cheerleaders. Amplifying the chaos, King Charles's goddaughter, India Hicks, posted a podcast video in which Shields doubled down. Audiences, she said, won't sit for 45 minutes of anyone being too precious. The clip flared, racked up hundreds of thousands of views, and vanished scrubbed from Hicks's Substack after accusations of bullying, racism, and every ism imaginable.
She suffers from such a rare disorder of being unable to just be a human.
Deleting the video only poured kerosene on speculation. Page 6 called it a cover-up, while Newsweek calculated the clicks. Mainstream outlets smelled blood in the influencer waters. Breakfast television framed it as a feud, tabloids went full catfight, and late-night comics cued punchlines about dish soap and duchesses. Yet, hidden beneath the punch coverage were numbers that told their own story. YouGov's May 2025 tracker placed Meghan at a record low 17% favorability, barely above Prince Andrew, and ranked her 2,034th on a list of 2,600 UK celebrities. For context, Sir David Attenborough sits at number 1. Even Mr. Bean outranks the Duchess by roughly 2,000 slots.
Public service, it's a bright, sharp, hot spotlight, and most people don't understand it, nor should they.
Polls can be fickle, but momentum matters. In the same fortnight, a straw poll for The Express found 97% of respondents wanted the Sussexes stripped of royal titles altogether. Every fresh controversy turns that snowball a bit faster. None of this surprised observers who track celebrity narrative fatigue. The public has long embraced vulnerability in its icons, up to a point. But once a story feels canned, each encore breeds suspicion, the paradox. The more often a figure repeats an anecdote to prove authenticity, the more rehearsed it sounds. Brooke taps straight into that dissonance. She didn't call Meghan a liar, she implied the moment had calcified into brand messaging. The jab worked because it wasn't shouted. It was tossed out like a casual truth bomb, detonating only after everyone processed the echo.
And I just want to give everybody here a context as to how we're different. I said, well, when I was 11, I was playing a prostitute. The place went insane. And then luckily, it was more relaxed after that.
As the clip stormed feeds, PR strategists dissected Meghan's possible countermoves. Option 1, ignore it, bet on the 48-hour news cycle, and keep using the story in new venues. Option 2, reframe, pivot to a fresh, previously untold life chapter, maybe her struggles landing acting roles post-Suits, or the rocky first months in Montecito. Option 3, acknowledge the critique head-on, admit even well-worn stories lose impact. Invite Brooke for a joint Instagram Live about reinvention. The last option is risky but potentially rehabilitative. Still, a larger mechanism churns beneath the personal drama. Media economics reward conflict narratives, especially between women. They're click magnets, easy to thumbnail. 2 faces, 1 raised eyebrow, millions of ad impressions. The real casualty isn't Meghan's reputation or Brooke's image, it's nuance.
Meghan wasn't twerking, she was shaking loose what little class she had left. And rumor has it Lily came out holding a ring light and a non-disclosure agreement.
Brooke's full quote contained empathy. She wanted to lighten a heavy panel, not humiliate a co-speaker, but context rarely survives virality. Stripped of breathless headlines, the incident crystallizes a cultural itch. We crave stories that feel lived, not laminated. Meghan's empowerment arc inspired millions' repetition, didn't kill its truth, but dulled its edge. Brooke's quip resharpened that edge painfully, publicly, and perhaps necessarily. Will it force Meghan to ditch the greatest hits reel? Maybe. History suggests backlash rarely pushes her off message. If anything, it amplifies her voice. Yet polling hints at a tipping point. Continual exposure without evolution risks hardening skepticism into indifference. And in the attention economy, indifference is the true exile. Brooke, for her part, returned to New York, brushed off feud rumors, and declined to elaborate, letting silence do what 1,000 follow-up Q&As could not. Keep the moment enigmatic. That silence is now Meghan's to fill. So where does that leave us? And you, the viewer, maybe asking why a single, softly spoken sentence cut louder than a polished keynote. Maybe wondering whether the next time you hear an origin story, any origin story, you'll lean in or zone out. And maybe, just maybe, hoping that the line between authenticity and advertisement grows a little clearer the next time someone steps on stage clutching a microphone and a memory. Because sometimes, the truth that sticks isn't the speech practiced in front of a mirror. It's the unguarded pause, the unscripted eyebrow, the echo that demands a fresh sentence. And that's exactly why this moment, small as it seemed, may be the one that rewrites the script. If an eyebrow arch can change an entire conversation, imagine what could happen when someone finally decides to put the index cards down altogether. Stay tuned, because the next unplanned pause might be even louder,